Okay, let's try this again. There we go. I started before, shut it off somehow, I don't know when, but it shut off. So let's take a quick look at our project here. You should already read this, take a read through this. I'm not going to repeat a lot what's on here. Ask questions if you're not sure about things in the Zoom session. There's a little picture of a snowman. That's not perfect as to what we're going to do because I defined the shapes on here. Components are defined by me. You can't change these around. Just make sure we use all the different shapes, all the different main shapes. There's lots of shapes we're not using, but we got the main shapes. Drawings, what you're going to put in. You need and I'll show you some of this a little bit later. We've got drawings, and again, come to the Zooms with specific questions on here. These are some examples of technical drawings, just so you can see what they look like. You can search those out. Computations and the report. You do need to write a couple paragraphs. It's not a lot of writing on this. More writing isn't better, kids. Say what you got to say, get to your point, use proper English. The more you fluff it out, the lower the grades you're going to get. You can make it too short too, but writing a lot doesn't mean good. Write what you need to write, move on. Okay, so let's go over the meat and potatoes of this. And yes, my thing's still running. I shut it off earlier by accident. First thing you got to submit to me is your dimensions. So make sure all your names are on everything you turn in. This project is me, myself, and I. That's my group, one of my favorite groups to work with. I'm going to use these, not just because MM is my initials, but because I want a super small, barely visible snow person. That's just my choice on here. You can make yours visible from the moon if you want to. So, up to you. I don't know how I get rid of this selection here. Let's just like this. Okay. So, numbers got to make sense. They got to fit together. If my head has a diameter of 6 millimeters, the body's got to be bigger than that. Okay, that's going to go 10, and let's do 14. You don't have to do even intervals like I did. I just chose to do that. Other things need to make sense. The top hat. The top hat's got to fit on the head. In other words, I'm not going to make it a super small clown hat. Just make it a diameter of 1. I'm going to. I can't make it super big, an 8. Because then the top hat would go right over my head and come down to my shoulders. It's too big there. It's bigger than the diameter of my head. It's got to be a little bit smaller. So numbers have to make sense. So I could do like a 5 there. That will sit on my head. Or actually, let's make it a little smaller. Let's go for 4. And we got that height. You can choose that yourself there. Now, down here I have the brim for the hat. This is broken up from the hat because A, this is the order I have it in for my answer key, and B, some of my classes use different parts as extra credit. Okay, so the brim. So the top hat, that's the cylinder part. So when you have your hat, you got this top part that looks like this. It comes down on our hat here like that. We have a hidden line on the back if you want to put it in, and then we have our brim to the hat is this part right here. And that does have to have a little thickness. It's not real thick, so it has to go there. So if you take that cylinder part out of your hat, whoops, I didn't draw this really well. Then I basically have a cylinder with a hole in it. Okay, that's how you're going to calculate the thing. So you have an outer diameter and an inner diameter. Notice this inner diameter, that matches where our top hat was, so that needs to be the same as the top hat. If that diameter is 4 there, that diameter needs to be 4 right there also. So things got to fit together. They got to match where they're appropriate. You know, the eye. So if my head is a diameter of 6. I can't have a diameter of 4 inches for my eyes. Why? Give you a second to answer here. You're right. The eyes would be wider than the head. They're not going to stick off the head. So they got to fit on there, and you got to think about that. Other things, you got your nose, you got your mouth. Now you got a number on these too, so the mouths are little prisms. Your height's not going to be really tall on there. You don't want them sticking 6 inches out of your face. But you got to tell me how many prisms you're going to use on your mouth. Like I might use 6, so that means I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then when you draw these, you do have to draw them like prisms on there if you can, and all that stuff, good stuff in there. So that's what the number means. You got to get the numbers there. For the fingers, this is the number of fingers on one hand. So if you've got 3 fingers on one hand, remember when you're calculating volumes, you've got six that you've got to consider for the total volume of the thing. So you're going to go through that, arms, fingers, buttons, again over the numbers. Length, depth, and height I show on the thing, on this right here. So that's length, that's depth, that's height. We don't use length, width, and height. Length and width get confusing on that. Depth is your distance into a page. Length is that horizontal distance you see in front of it there. But that's where those come into play there. Okay, let's go back to this page. And actually, pause this for a second. Where's my screen thing? I need my pause button for the Screencast-O-Matic. Where it is. Okay, I might have paused this again. I don't know. I'm going to have to check in a second to see where this is at. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so let's move on with this. So the next thing you're going to do is your calculations page. You're going to take those numbers that you see on that page, and again, I prefer you try to use this page if at all possible. Arrange things in this order. It just makes it much easier for me to see. And I don't know what's up with this right here. Okay, you got a little page layout a little better here. And there we go, zoom. So, things in here. So, this isn't moving nicely. List your dimensions. So, I think I said 14 was my diameter there. So 7 there. Don't worry about putting units in here. Put your units in at the end. They're going to be cubed, whatever they are. Show your formulas in here. So this is where you're calculating 4/3 pi r cubed for the volume. So that's going to be 4/3 pi times 7 cubed. You go through it. Then whatever I get down here for this, write it in pi. I don't know what this is. That's going to be, whatever, 343 times 4 pi, so I'll get something like 343 times 7. I'm not going to multiply that out, over 3 pi. Pi means pi should be in units. It should be in pi there. Put your final one down here. This is your decimals down here. Okay, that's what I expect to see. Diameter, radius, height for the cylinders. On some of these, so for like the mouths, prisms, I think I said I had 6. So you get the volume. I should have put a volume equals in here. This would, for 1, this would be, and then whatever, let's say this is 32, and then I got 6 of them, so that'd be 6 times 32, and that would give me 192, I believe, for my units there. Again, you can put those in if you want. So that's what that little line is right there, and then this number is going to come in and go in right there too. What else we got in here? I have no idea what those dots are. Now I see that. The pi, again, this is pi for 1 eye, then you'd have 2 eyes times that. This should say arms here. I got to fix that. And hopefully I'll remember to do that. We should have arms there, not eyes. Obviously, I copied that over. Two eyes, two arms. This one right here. Buttons, you choose the number of buttons. That's why you have that blank. So I give you little reminders when you got to do some multiplying in. I should have this V up here like I have for 1 right there. And then you use it like that. I'll try to remember to get that in, though. I got to zoom in a few minutes. And we'll deal with that then. Big thing down here, it doesn't show it on this page, it shows it on the final because I got a part of this. Make sure you give me your total volume. That's the thing most people miss. There's a total volume on there. That's the whole thing we're trying to find. If you don't get the total volume, you haven't completed the project. So that's where we're at with that right now. Now, I haven't done this as a report before, but I'm just going to show you some pictures of things you can see. You're supposed to name it. They got their pistachio from the pistachio green. We've done a lot of cut and paste. You can do that at home, but most of you won't have the materials. Let's just show a few of them that we have right here. Little Snow, there's our name there. I like the names. There's more cut and paste. You can see their volume. Oh, these up here are their little, let's zoom in on that. This is their little, another part you have to do is the drawings of the individual shapes with the dimensions shown on them. So this is another part you have to do. If you've got 3 people in your group, this is where you add the extra piece. So if it's 2 people, you do the main Snowperson and then the dimensions. And you can do the dimensions either hand or on computer. You don't have to show the hidden lines, especially on computer. That might be a little bit more difficult. But you can do it, of course. Or you can find other pictures to import, or you can add other stuff to them. So if you're in a group of 3, one does it by hand, one does it on the computer. That's my suggestion. That's the extra bit for the 3 people. But you got that right there. So let's just go back to our normal Zoom. Let's take look at a couple of these because I've got to head to our Zoom here. I don't have this all the way zoomed down yet, so arrow wasn't there. You can see the cut and paste has always been popular. Senior Helio, Snowball, these are little comments people put on when we did our gallery walk. Braylene the Snowman, that was just a combination of the names and people in the group. MC Snowy, so you can see the cut and paste was popular. Here's one that they did some drawings on it. And this is the way you do the pyramids. A pyramid, if you think about it, this is looking down from the top of the pyramid. You've got a square base. Those are the little edges running up to the side for the sides. That's what it would look like looking down on that. Well, that's about it here, kids. Oh, it's a sad snowman. I got to get to our Zoom. So let's click through a few of these. You can see it right there. It had hair. That's the only one I've ever gotten with hair. And that's looking like it's about it. 14 minutes of my 15 minutes right there. There's one that's upside down, but we saw Andy earlier, so that's okay. It looks like we're at the end there. So I'm going to, moving that. There's another one. Now we're at the end because I don't have my little arrow over there. So there they are. We'll catch you later, kids. You have a good morning, good day, or whatever time of day it is.